Rome, Italy, June 1972. Chuck Norris stands in the ancient Roman Colosseum wearing a black gi when Bruce Lee approaches and says, "We're about to film the most important fight scene in martial arts cinema history. No stunt doubles, no tricks, just you and me showing the world what real martial artists can do. Ready to make history?" What happens in the next 11 minutes doesn't just create an iconic film sequence, it sets the standard for every martial arts movie that follows, proves that authenticity beats Hollywood fakery, and creates a moment so powerful that 50 years later, people still watch it and say, "That's the greatest fight scene ever filmed." The Colosseum is ancient, 2,000 years old, weathered stone arches rising against a blue Italian sky, the ghosts of gladiators past watching as two modern warriors prepare to honor this sacred fighting ground. It's early morning, 6 a.m., chosen specifically because tourists haven't arrived yet. The light is perfect, and Chuck and Bruce have the entire amphitheater to themselves, plus a minimal film crew: director, cinematographer, 2 camera operators, sound technician. Bruce Lee insisted on small crew, no studio executives watching, no interference, just pure martial arts artistry captured on film. Chuck is 32 years old, 6-time world karate champion, recently retired from competition, running successful martial arts schools in California, beginning to break into Hollywood through Bruce's invitation. Bruce called him 2 months ago, said he's making a film in Hong Kong, needs a credible opponent for the climactic fight scene, someone who can actually fight, someone audiences will believe could challenge Bruce Lee. Chuck was honored, flew to Rome, learned the choreography Bruce designed specifically to showcase both their styles authentically. The fight choreography took 3 days to develop, not Hollywood choreography where everything's planned to the second, but structured improvisation. Bruce outlined the story of the fight, the emotional beats, the techniques he wants featured, then told Chuck, "Within this structure, fight me for real. I'll respond authentically. The camera will capture genuine martial arts, not dance." This terrified the director, who's used to controlled, safe, predictable action sequences. But Bruce insisted, "Trust me, Chuck and I are professionals. We know how to fight full contact while maintaining control. The authenticity will show on screen." Bruce is wearing his iconic yellow tracksuit, the one that will become legendary, immortalized in posters and tribute artwork for decades. He's 32 years old, same age as Chuck, compact, explosive, radiating that particular energy that makes him undeniable on screen. He's already famous in Hong Kong, becoming known in America, but not yet the global icon he'll become after his death. This film, Return of the Dragon, is his directorial debut, his chance to show Western audiences what real martial arts looks like, his opportunity to change action cinema forever. Bruce explains the fight's narrative. "You're Colt, the American karate champion, undefeated, confident, powerful. I'm Tang Lung, representing Chinese martial arts. This fight is East versus West, but it's not about one style being superior. It's about 2 masters respecting each other, pushing each other to their limits, testing themselves against worthy opposition. The fight ends with mutual respect, not hatred. That's important. We're not just fighting, we're teaching the world that martial arts is about honor, not violence." Chuck understands. This isn't typical Hollywood hero beats villain nonsense. This is 2 real martial artists demonstrating their arts authentically, showing different philosophies, different techniques, finding common ground in mutual respect. Bruce continues, "I've designed the choreography to showcase your karate legitimately. No mocking your style, no making you look weak. You're a genuine threat. The audience must believe you could win. Otherwise, my victory means nothing." The first take, they run through the entire sequence, 11 minutes of continuous fighting, minimal cuts, letting the action flow naturally. Chuck throws his powerful straight punches, his devastating kicks, the techniques that made him world champion. Bruce responds with his unique style, trapping, redirecting, explosive counters, the fluidity that makes him special. The cameras roll, the fight unfolds, and something magical happens. The choreography disappears, replaced by genuine combat dynamics. They're not performing a dance, they're actually fighting, controlling the power but not the intensity, reading each other, responding authentically. The director yells "cut," stunned, says that was incredible, but it's too real, too dangerous, someone will get hurt. Bruce shakes his head. That's the point. Real danger creates real tension. Audiences feel the difference between fake and authentic. We're being careful, but we're not being safe. There's a difference. Careful means controlled. Safe means boring. We're doing careful. Chuck agrees, says to Bruce, "I trust you completely. You pulled every strike perfectly. I could feel the power, but you never connected badly. That's mastery." They filmed the sequence 12 times over the next 6 hours. Each take, different details, different angles, capturing the fight from every perspective. Bruce is directing and starring, an insane challenge, but he makes it work. Between takes, he watches playback, adjusts camera angles, tells Chuck, "That kick was beautiful, but camera missed it. Can you throw it from this angle instead?" Chuck adapts. They're collaborating, creating art together, not just executing someone else's vision. The most iconic moment comes spontaneously. Bruce designed a sequence where Bruce's character defeats Chuck's character, but he wanted to show respect afterward. The script says Bruce bows to the defeated opponent, but when they film it, after the final exchange where Bruce's character wins, Bruce does something unplanned. He covers Chuck's dead character's body with his own gi, a gesture of profound respect, acknowledging the warrior who pushed him to his limits. The director didn't ask for it. Bruce just felt it in the moment and did it. When Chuck watched playback later, he cried, said that gesture says everything about who Bruce is, not just a fighter, a philosopher who understands honor. The nunchaku sequence almost doesn't happen. Bruce wants to demonstrate his nunchaku mastery, but Chuck's character doesn't use nunchaku, uses fists and feet. How to justify Bruce using them? Bruce solves it elegantly. "I pull them out as psychological warfare, showing you a weapon you've never faced, watching your reaction. You don't panic, you adapt, proving you're a true martial artist. It serves the story." The sequence works perfectly. Bruce's nunchaku skills displayed stunningly, Chuck's character responding with karate precision, neither backing down. The chest hair moment becomes legendary. Bruce, always detail-oriented, tells Chuck, between takes, "Pull your gi open during the fight. Show your chest hair. It's masculine, makes you look more dangerous, provides visual contrast to my smooth chest. Audiences will remember it." Chuck laughs but agrees. That simple detail becomes iconic. Chuck's hairy chest versus Bruce's smooth one. Visual shorthand for their different styles, different philosophies, both valid, both powerful. The actual filming takes 1 full day, sunrise to sunset. By the end, both men are exhausted, bruised despite the control, muscles aching from 11-minute fight sequences repeated a dozen times. But they're exhilarated. They know they created something special, something that will endure. Bruce says to Chuck as they pack up, "People will watch this fight 50 years from now and still see 2 real martial artists testing each other. That's legacy. That's why we did this." The film releases in 1972. The Colosseum fight scene becomes instantly legendary. Critics praise it as the most realistic martial arts sequence ever filmed. Audiences watch it repeatedly, studying the techniques, debating who would actually win, respecting both fighters. The scene influences every martial arts movie afterward. Directors demand more realism, longer takes, less cutting, authentic martial artists in roles instead of actors pretending. Chuck and Bruce changed the standard. But Bruce never sees the film's global success. He dies July 20th, 1973, 13 months after filming that scene. Chuck is devastated. They became real friends during filming, trained together, shared philosophies, respected each other deeply. Chuck attends the funeral, serves as pallbearer, carries Bruce's casket, still processing that his friend is gone at 32, at the peak of his powers, with so much left to give. At the funeral, Chuck sees the film industry representatives, the celebrities, everyone claiming to know Bruce. But Chuck knows the real Bruce, the perfectionist who filmed 11-minute fight sequences 12 times to capture authenticity, the philosopher who covered his opponent's body with his own gi to show respect, the friend who insisted on genuine martial arts when Hollywood wanted fake spectacle. Chuck makes a promise at that funeral. He'll honor Bruce's legacy by continuing to demand authenticity in martial arts films, by teaching real martial arts, by showing the world that Bruce was right about everything. Chuck's film career takes off partly because of that Colosseum scene. Directors see he's not just a fighter, but an actor who can convey emotion, honor, respect through physicality. He gets roles in major films, becomes an action star, builds a career spanning decades. Every time interviewers ask about his film career, Chuck mentions Bruce. Says, "Bruce gave me my start. That Colosseum fight was my film school. He taught me that authenticity beats everything, that real martial artists have a responsibility to show the public what true combat looks like, not Hollywood fantasies." In 2000, the Colosseum fight scene is voted greatest martial arts movie fight of all time by multiple publications. Chuck is asked to comment. He says, "Bruce knew we were making history. He told me that morning, standing in the Colosseum, 'Let's make history.' I thought he was being dramatic. He was being accurate." That scene has been watched millions of times, studied by martial artists worldwide, influenced every action director since. All because Bruce refused to accept Hollywood fakery and insisted on authenticity. That was his genius. That was his gift to martial arts cinema. In 2012, 40 years after filming, Chuck returns to Rome, visits the Colosseum, stands in the same spot where he and Bruce fought. A small crowd gathers, recognizing him, asking for photos. Chuck agrees, but first tells them the story, how Bruce choreographed the fight to honor both styles, how they filmed for 12 hours straight, how Bruce covered his character's body with his gi, how that moment of respect defined everything Bruce believed about martial arts. People listen, some crying, all touched by the love and respect Chuck still carries for his friend 40 decades later. Chuck says, standing in that ancient arena, "Bruce and I were the same age, 32, both at our peak. We created something beautiful here, something that outlasted both our fighting careers, outlasted Bruce's life, outlasted trends and fashion and Hollywood's changing tastes. We created art, real art, because we refused to fake it. Bruce taught me that. The world thinks Bruce taught me martial arts. He didn't. He taught me integrity. He taught me that real always beats fake, even when fake is easier, faster, cheaper. Real lasts. Fake fades." The Colosseum fight scene has been analyzed by film scholars, martial artists, fight choreographers, directors. Everyone agrees it's perfect. The techniques are authentic, the emotion genuine, the respect palpable, the artistry undeniable. It's 11 minutes of two masters at their peak, creating something that honors their arts, their friendship, their shared belief that martial arts is more than violence. It's philosophy expressed through the body. Chuck's final tribute comes in 2020, when he's asked by a documentary filmmaker about his greatest professional achievement. Chuck doesn't mention his championships, his schools, his films, his fame. He says, "Fighting Bruce Lee in the Colosseum. Those 11 minutes with my friend, creating something that still matters 50 years later. Bruce said, 'Let's make history.' We did. That's enough. That's everything." So, here's the question. What are you creating that will last beyond you? What work are you doing that values authenticity over convenience, real over fake, legacy over immediate profit? Because Chuck and Bruce spent 12 hours filming an 11-minute fight scene when Hollywood would have done it in 2 hours with stunt doubles and quick cuts and fake drama. They chose hard over easy, real over fake, lasting over quick. And 50 years later, people still watch those 11 minutes and see what real martial arts, real friendship, real artistry looks like. What are you building that will still matter in 50 years? And are you willing to do it the hard way, the real way, the way that honors your craft instead of just cashing a check? Because Bruce Lee told Chuck Norris, "Let's make history." And they did it, by refusing to compromise, by insisting on authenticity, by creating something real in an industry built on illusion. That's the lesson. That's the legacy. That's what lasts.